Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of me looking at, well, anything that crosses my desk and me commenting on it. This is by Joe Rogan, and I like Joe. He's a cool guy. He's very down to earth, very funny, and he has a very popular podcast. And I don't know if this is Joe's channel or her fan channel. I can't say, I don't know. But the title of the video is Google is Building a Tech Dystopia in Canada. Now, I don't think that's true. They're talking about the Idea District by Sidewalk Labs, which is part of downtown Toronto, a section of Toronto, at least the islands really, this whole area, that has really been not really used, not really developed for decades, at least since the 60s, since they started doing stuff and they just sort of didn't bother. So there's really not much in this area if you check out what their plans are. And it's like, great. Thankfully, they're doing something with this land, which is prime real estate in Toronto, that they're going to develop on. I think this is always a great idea for a developer to have the money and the resources to build anything in Toronto, because right now Toronto and Vancouver in Canada are having a boom in real estate. So anytime something goes on the market, even if it's prime real estate, it gets sold out within days. If it's too expensive, it might take a week. But Google promises to have something like below average costs, like thousands of new affordable and below market housing units in the world's first neighborhood built entirely from timber. Fine, whatever. I don't really care about their environmental ways of building something. But before, like below market housing, that sounds awkward. We actually do already have a developer that does do affordable housing, and again, they get sold out instantly. And these don't seem very tall. This is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 story. That's not very tall for buildings down there. Of course, there's nothing there. Like if we zoom in here, we have just some old industrial plants that aren't used anymore, some manufacturing plants. You know, this is not like these should all get knocked down and used for whatever. So there's all kinds of there are all kinds of options for real estate in Toronto. It's just not being used. So why not have a company like Google or whomever come by and say, hey, we're gonna make a cool sector for tech or what have you. But let's actually see what Joe Rogan is saying about this.
You know what's going on in Toronto
No.
with Alphabet, the parent company of Google?
No.
It's a very disturbing thing to a lot of people, where they're essentially setting up blocks and they're putting cameras in these places and they're gathering data and information and they're trying to engineer a utopian city.
First off, there's nothing new about setting up cameras in cities. We have CCTVs all throughout downtown Toronto, all throughout the suburbs. This is, again, normal. The argument is, what do you do with the data and how does it work? So if you want to use data, like a company like Google, to make real estate and to make a part of the city be, I don't know, more intellectually suited for the people who want to live there, why wouldn't they? What's wrong with that? So all these urban planners, any kind of developers really of land who do stuff like this, we want to know why they're doing it. They want to create a community. And why not? What's wrong with developing prime real estate that no one's using? I wish more developers would come in and fight for this land. Like there's nothing here. Like there's giant tracts of land with nothing going on. You know, you got some manufacturing plants here. This is for Cirque du Soleil. I actually went down there a few times. Go-karts, piers, nightclubs. It's really nothing special. And to make it into an urban city center, why not? Why not turn this into a Sim City environment where they put prime real estate where it belongs? Make it residential. Don't make it manufacturing or industrial. It's kind of awkward.
Yeah, I was reading about it yesterday, and I was like, no, like this is a terrible idea.
Google is so
like,
fucking terrifying.
What if these people don't want to be filmed? What if these people don't want information gathered about them?
Then they won't live there. They won't go down there. It's the same with anything downtown. You don't want to have cameras on you, don't go downtown. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? They catch you for speeding, or you crash, or whatever. there's all kinds of cameras everywhere. There's all kinds of television studios downtown. It's pretty normal. It's been going that way for at least 40 years. There's Speaker's Corner from City TV that's been bought out by Bell. I mean, this is normal. This is completely normal. There's nothing wrong with it. Yes, data acquisition is always a problem. Who has it, what they're doing with it. But until we see an actual negative side effect, especially for urban planning, which makes total sense, I'm not seeing a problem.
Like they're doing it under the guise of, here it is, Alphabet's plan for Toronto depends on huge amounts of data.
Yeah, we need more data collection.
But yes, I would like my potential real estate developer to have lots of data and to know what to do with it, to make intelligent building decisions. That's good. That's better than good. You want intelligent developers to know what they're doing.
Mining.
Their idea is that they're going to make it easier for people to get around and smoother.
But how?
I
By
don't know.
facial recognition? I love how they always say, "Oh, people are being sex trafficked, and this will help." It's like, no, dude, this is like 0.0001% of all the people that you're, data mining.
It says
Well, okay. Again, the plans for these designs, I think they look. Obviously, every plan you see from a developer looks amazing. Like all these people. There could be bike lanes. There's canoes here. Some pictures have, I'm trying to look at some of these other ones. They have all these people. There could be some TTC lines, like waterways. Like this is a possibility. Why wouldn't you want multiple options of transport to get downtown and to navigate? Light rail, bike, like these are all good things. What's wrong with that?
Sidewalk Labs released more detailed plans for Toronto, the site of Google's sister company's first attempt to bring its techified, digital-forward sensibility to a full-scale development project. The Sidewalk Labs project dates to 2017, when the Canadian city welcomed the company to an undeveloped section of its waterfront. Now, after 18 months of speculation work, God damn these motherfuckers that pop up as. Speculation work and backlash from local advocates. The company has a 1,524-page master plan for the 12-acre lot called Quayside. First of all, I hate the fucking name.
What
Quayside.
is it?
It's Quayside. The quay or the wharf or the section of a waterfront is just a building on the harbor that does whatever. It could build other ships. It could just be a dock. It could be whatever. So obviously, not everyone knows the English language. That's totally fine.
What is Quayside? 4-volume plan highlights ambitious and sometimes flashy innovations from Sidewalk Labs, which has pledged to spend $1.3 billion on the project if it goes forward. The company hopes to construct all the buildings with timber, which it says is better for the environment. It also catches fire. And build an underground pneumatic tube system for garbage removal.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I never heard of a pneumatic tube system, but actually a lot of buildings in downtown Toronto, even in Spadina, a lot of the industrial tech areas, they're made of lumber. They've been standing there for over 100 years, and they're still good. So whether they're made of lumber or better building materials is immaterial. It doesn't matter. However a developer wants to build something is up to them. So long as it's safe and healthy and good for the environment and cost effective. I mean, I would prefer steel. I think most people would, but again, we have really old buildings in Toronto that are just fine.
It wants residents to lean on public transit, walking, and biking rather than personal vehicles. Good luck. It's fucking 0 degrees in Toronto, you assholes.
Not right now. It's actually really, really hot. 24 isn't really hot, but it's going to get warmer tomorrow and the day after and the day after. We do have the seasons in Toronto. We have summer, spring, autumn, and fall. Autumn and winter. So I don't know what Joe's talking about. So it is get cold. It's cold in all of Canada, really. But it's really the humidity that kills us. So don't worry, Joe. It does get hot during the summer.
And plans to build streets with autonomous vehicles, perhaps from its sister company Waymo. Delivery robots. Do you know what Waymo is?
No.
No, I don't need. Delivery robots might trundle down its wide sidewalks. The strategic use of very large umbrella-like coverings might make outdoor spaces comfortable all year round. No small feat in Lakeshore, Canada. Sidewalk.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. I mean, who cares how big the sidewalks are? I don't know what they're talking about specifically, but that's a minor point, really.
Wants to designate 20% of the apartments as affordable and another 20% as middle income. So they're engineering
weird, yeah.
a city.
Yeah,
And
right.
Well, that's fine, but it's there. That's a pipe dream, honestly. If you're using prime real estate that's downtown, that's on the water or lakeshore, you're not gonna. I mean, people are gonna just buy it outright, and then Google's gonna be like, or the company who's doing this is like, oh, we should have probably developed more. We should have spent more money, etc. So if they want to develop for lower income, it's probably not going to make too much sense. Although we are talking about southeast downtown Toronto, and one of the lowest income parts of the city is south or east Queen Street, which is kind of hard to see here. It's a part of the city where there's a lot of drugs and low income. So I guess it makes sense to want to start slightly above that, but because it's downtown, these are really prime. This is prime real estate. It's not wise to put low income or below the average price of housing. You should crank up the prices. People want to live downtown. People want to work downtown, especially when you're on the waterfront. So I think it's a bad idea by the developers, but maybe they have a master plan to develop more residential, higher residential in the future. Who knows? They want to start small. I mean, this is not small. This is really big. Like if you look at the actual plan, this is a huge chunk of land, not to mention all the other land they're going to be touching. So who knows?
This is by people who are really just openly social justice warriors. I mean, these are the people that censored that James Damore guy and fired him for having this memo that really kind of discussed women in tech based on evolutionary biology,
Well, a lot of Google is like this. A lot of people in tech are like this. That's nothing new. We're talking about urban planners here. We're talking about people who want to build a community, a society. So, yeah, you're going to get people from all walks of every political spectrum. But if they got billions of dollars to spend for affordable housing, Toronto is open for business. Go for it. We need more housing. We need all kinds of development to facilitate industry sector jobs and, well, just families living. So, the boom is not going to go away for a while in the housing bubble in Toronto and Vancouver. So you need more housing. It's just the natural reality of development in big urban cities.
Studies, and they said that he was highlighting harmful gender stereotypes, which it's not true. It's not accurate. If you look at what he actually said and what he actually wrote, he even had a page and a half dedicated in that memo trying to come up with strategic ways to encourage women to get into technology. The study the paper that James Damore wrote has no relation to the way he's been framed and the way people talk about him. This is a direct result of Google and Google's social justice warrior sort of ethos, like the way they operate as a company.
Well,
Again, that may be true, but we're talking about building buildings for people to live in. Shovels in the ground, holes in the ground, buildings up in the air. I want to see it happen. I don't care. I don't care if it's Google. I don't care if it's the most leaning Hollywood company that suddenly wants to get into real estate. Great. If they can develop and buy and zone prime real estate downtown Toronto, go for it. I want to see what you can do. We need it. It's a good thing. Not so sure about the data acquisition or what you do with it, but if you can plan a great society, a great community, I'm all for it.
Google pretends to be, don't be evil. This seems
They
like some
stopped
algorithmic
they
shit
gave up
that
on
they
Don't Be Evil. They took that
Oh, they
down,
took
by the
that
way.
down.
Which,
Well-
why the fuck would you ever take that down?
They're like, okay, we're evil now. But this just seems like they like plugged in some shit in an algorithm and they're like, all right, this is our city now. Like we're
Yeah, Google is known for algorithms. So what's wrong with designing anything with an algorithm? What's wrong with having a methodology or an understanding of mathematics to plan out and build a community? I don't see a problem with that. I think that's what you want. You want more intelligent design for making things, especially places to live.
they're creating Sims. But
Control.
I would say it's like SimCity, actually. I think it's kind of cool that a company has that kind of data and that kind of resources to do so. And we're not talking about some weird Gattaca experiment. We're not engineering babies. We're just making use of land that no one else is using. This is all empty. No one goes here. This is like they're not developing anything here. You got you got a nightclub, there's nothing here. One cabana pool, okay, it's not great, it seems extremely expensive and it's not too popular. Okay. Cherry Street Barbecue. 4.5. That's actually pretty good. Okay, they got one really nice restaurant. Fantastic. Cirque du Soleil, which only comes in once a year or every 2 years, depending if they have a new show. Use it. Use the land. Anyone. I don't care.
I mean, Google, I agree with David Pacman's kind of depiction on Google. I think that they're a giant corporation. They have billions offshore in tax havens, and they are not liberal. They appear to be liberal because that's capitalism. You're trying to basically adapt to where society is at, and you want to pretend like you are socially conscious. But when you look at their actual policies, they're conservative as fuck. I mean, they actually fund a lot of crazy, like Koch brother.
Okay, so it appears that Google is not just liberal, they're also conservative. Again, I don't care. We don't care what their politics are. We want their investment. We want their money. We want to develop in Toronto. Please.
ALEC, they fund a lot of right-wing organizations. The Federalist Society, they've given huge grants to. So I think that they're kind of
Why do they
playing
do that?
both sides. Deregulation.
Yeah, they're a company. They're here to make money. Fantastic. So we can understand their objectives are capitalistic. This is good. This is what developers in real estate do. They want to put an investment down. They're playing the long game, allow people to live, make Toronto even more of a tech sector. Fantastic idea.
Lobby for kind of the deregulation of their industry. So I think that all of the perception and the mantra of Google and YouTube and, catering to like the social consciousness and what you're talking about, I think is honestly just to make more money.
Well, I'm sure they're going to make more money in the process of doing this. But the idea that they're going to engineer a city to me is terrifying.
Why? What are they going to do? Is it going to be like some Deus Ex human revolution dystopia? I don't see the dystopia. I see buildings that not everyone is interested in buying because they look kind of weird. And I see the harbor front and families and light rail transit and bike lanes and cars and boats. And you're right next to the airport, which is going to be like a 10-minute drive or maybe a 10-minute ferry. Why wouldn't you want that? You're right there. You're right in downtown Toronto. You're 10, 15 minutes away from Union Station. I mean, why wouldn't you want to live where all the action is? What are they engineering? I want to know what Joe is so scared of. What is the fear that they're going to have some sort of automated advertising of the things I actually want to buy as I walk past a street sign that caters to my interests? Again, some people don't like that idea. It depends. How far is this data collection going to go? We don't know yet. But to give people affordable housing, again, sounds awkward, but why not?
That's insane.
I just don't. I don't like it. You know, there was a great podcast that Sam Harris did with the guy who's explaining.
Anyway, we can see the rest of this video, you guys, if you want to check it out yourself. But thanks for listening, and have yourself a great morning.